President Trump puts himself in a little bit of trouble with his comments about immigration, as after he has tried to negotiate with the Democrats about DACA and immigration, and the media now thinks it's okay to swear on live television without censorship. And recently, the fake Hawaii missile warning goes out to Hawaiian cell phones across the state. My name is Jason Riley, and this is the Riley Report. All right, today is Sunday, January 13th, 2018, and we are going to start it right off with Trump and his negotiations that he tried to make. First, I'm going to talk about the DACA and the whole situation that Trump's trying to go on there very briefly. DACA is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which basically means that all children that came over the border illegally as a very young child or an infant that were brought here by their parents, it's basically giving them some sympathy there and letting them stay. Trump is trying to negotiate for funding for his wall. He says that he will push for DACA back in place if he can get in return funding for his wall. Democrats seem to be very stubborn about this and don't want funding for his wall because they don't like the wall, but Trump needs his wall. He needs a very greatly huge wall. And so when it comes to DACA, my personal opinion is that we should evaluate all these people who are protected under DACA and not do either of the two extremes, because there aren't only two possible solutions here. We shouldn't either just deport all of them, and we shouldn't just keep them all. We should take all the people who are here because of DACA and look at them individually as if they are new immigrants to the United States and determine if we want to keep them here or not, if they are benefiting our society or not. And most of these people who are considered dreamers would probably get to stay. I would say let those people stay. And so anyway, moving on to Trump and his comments. So he was discussing immigration from third world countries, I guess, and he thought it was an off-the-record conversation, but this room consisted of Republicans and Democrats. This was never the case. He should have known that this wasn't the case. He sounded off about immigration, and he was talking about protecting immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and African countries. When talking about revoking visas from El Salvador immigrants, we don't know the context of the comments, but this is big. Knowing the context would be a huge lead for knowing what he was talking about or what he meant by what he said. He could have been referring to the visa lottery program, which I think is awful, or the targeting deportation of immigrants from specific countries, which is awful as well. According to the Washington Post, Trump supposedly said, "Why are we having all these people from blank whole countries come here?" That blank is referring to another word for poop, and Trump then suggested that the U.S. should be bringing more people from countries such as Norway. Trump also recently met with their prime minister on Wednesday. According to a White House official, also he suggested that he would be more open to immigrants from Asian countries because he felt they helped the U.S. economically. Then he supposedly continues, "Why do we need more Haitians? Take them out." All right, this across the media everywhere has had, obviously, as you would expect, many reactions. Should the president of the United States be using this language? Probably not. It is bad language, but the implication could be taken as racist. This isn't. But anybody who says that the president shouldn't be using this language is right. But keep in mind that he did think he was off the record, kind of in his defense there for a second. But again, he probably shouldn't have used that language. People say the first comment refers to the people, the comment about the blank hole countries. So, which I don't know. Nobody can exactly know because we don't know the context. There's two ways to take this. First would be bigotry, and that's bad and not productive. Lots of Haiti immigrants come here and get college degrees and be functioning members of society in America. It is true that people come from bad countries. These countries are bad. You really can't deny it. These countries like Haiti are awful places. I hate when I go look in the media and I see that all these people are saying that he was wrong about that. When no, do you want to go live there instead of here? Why do you think that all these people are immigrating from there to here? Because America is a much better place than those places, and they are bad places. They are blank holes. They are not a good place to live. That's just a known fact. So you can't really deny that. That is, it's people, but people, you can't judge the people off the place they come from. People typically do come here to work hard. It's all about the people and not the country to me. Another interpretation is that he is referring to the visa lottery program. So when it comes to immigration, I think that immigrants are legally. I think the only way that immigrants should be here is if they are not taking advantage of welfare and they are acceptive of the American culture and they kind of adjust to it. So I think those are the really only two problems that we have with immigration is people taking advantage of welfare and not adapting to the culture, because we have our American culture, which is important to us and really important to me, and welfare, you shouldn't be taking advantage of it. That is illegal. Get out if you're doing that. The visa lottery program, it started to try to get more Irish into America in the 60s, apparently, and basically the visa lottery program looks at where people are from instead of the people themselves, and that's not what we need to be doing. We need to be looking at the people. That's basic, and like I just said, this is basically how the lottery program works. Each individual should be evaluated individually and not by their country. The idea that you cannot contribute to the U.S. just because you come from a bad place is awful, racist, and bigoted. I would agree, but the media could really use this quote to make Trump look like a racist and bigoted, but they aren't doing that right. I don't like how they're doing it. But you can't, back to what I was saying, that you can't look at an individual by their country exactly. Each individual is different. We've had many bad people come from places and many good people, great people come from different countries of all different kinds. But anyway, moving on, the media could really take this quote and use it as good evidence to fight that their claim they've been making for ages that Trump is a bigoted racist, but they aren't exactly doing it the smartest way, not doing it exactly right. First, they lost it over Trump using the swear word, but they use it all the time. So not only are they freaking out about Trump using the word, but CNN actually reported this without censoring the harsh language he used. They said it tons of times, over and over, on air, on TV, and I think that is awful. That is really stupid and very asinine of them to do. That's just crazy to me. These media members will also just refer to red states as this word sometimes. Jim Acosta said a bunch of times, as I continue this podcast, you will come to learn that I cannot stand Jim Acosta. I think he's an awful person. And the point is that they're hypocrites. They continue to say it over and over without censoring after this deal. And off the air, they will say it all the time, but lose their crap when Donald Trump says it. They aren't honestly upset about the vulgarity. They just want to be able to attack Trump. They are claiming that these countries are fine, but these places, like I said, argued earlier, that these places are bleep holes. I don't like how the media is trying to claim that the countries are perfectly fine, and that he probably shouldn't have described them that way, but they're trying to argue that they aren't that, when I believe they are. Most people who immigrate here come here to make the country better. Most people come here with the intention to make the country better. Lots of media are calling Trump a definite racist and or bigot for saying this. And it's a plausible read, though, from what he said. If Trump is saying people shouldn't come here based off their country of origin, that is stupid and it's racist. It is racist if he is saying that people should not come here based off their country of origin, that just because they are, say, Haitians, for example, that they shouldn't come here. That is, I will agree, that is racist. But again, we don't know the context. We don't know what this means or what he means by it, basically. Because, as we know, he says a lot of very stupid things that can be taken many different ways. But the other way to read it is if you were going to judge people based off their country or origin, which is exactly what the visa lottery program does, that you cannot act like countries produce the same type of people. Countries like South Korea have a much more Western culture than, say, Chinese or Russian. This means that people from South Korea would fit in better in the American culture than, say, Russians. This is not racist. This is factual. This isn't ripping on the Russian Chinese. The country does matter a little, but not entirely. The idea that you can judge the individual person is racist. It's, if you can kind of understand what I'm saying here, it's harder for non-Western countries or countries with a non-Western culture, people immigrating from there, to adapt to a Western culture compared to countries who do have a Western culture. It is different from saying, like, on average, someone from a place that isn't westernized would have a harder time integrating in the American society compared to a person from a place that isn't, like the two examples I used. But it's not racist to do that. But it is racist to say that this one specific person from a country is less capable of integrating than another person from somewhere else because of their country. People are trying to read Trump's mind and be like, this is definitely what he meant by it. And like I said, I'm not going to say what I take from it, because I can't read his mind. I don't know what he meant by that, and neither does anybody else, so that doesn't give them much room to talk and assume and jump to conclusions when it comes to what he was trying to say. So CNN also recently put out a story about African countries demanding that Trump apologize. I think about that is ridiculous, because again, the places he is referring to are actual blank holes. No person would say that most of these places are better than America. Compared to America, most African countries, almost, I'd say all of them, aren't as good as America, but most African countries are awful blank holes. I would agree. You really can't deny that. A lot of people in Africa are living in poverty, and it's just an awful condition for them to live. And it's harsh language, but it's true that they are not good places to be at. And that is it about what Trump said and my opinion on it. So I'm going to briefly talk about the taxes real quick, because I saw a story from the Huffington Post about it, and I felt the need to talk about it. But I do think the tax plan that the Republicans put out is too late to be talking in depth about. So basic overview about it for me, about that I think, is the tax cuts are better for the economy because they get people to more of their own money. It gives people more of their own money, and businesses are raising wages and investing more due to this. It's called supply side economics. That's how it works. But anyway, the Huffington Post made a story about how Walmart's pay increase is not due to the tax cuts. They think that it's just to politicize what they're just for political benefits, because the Walmart supports Trump or something, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Walmart came out and did say that they were raising wages due to the tax cuts, and so have many, many other businesses, and so they're just ripping on Walmart for it. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous of the media to do that, come out and say that Walmart's that isn't because of it, because it really is. Okay, lots of other businesses are doing the same exact thing, and the idea that Walmart specifically isn't doing it because of the tax cuts is just asinine. Anyway, moving on. There was a missile alert in Hawaii to all cell phones of Hawaiians. Let's talk about that. Saturday morning, an emergency alert mistakenly was sent out to cell phones all across Hawaii. It was a warning of an incoming ballistic missile. Officials say it was a result of human error, not hacking or anything like that. The mistake happened during a shift change drill that occurs 3 times a day at the emergency command post. Quote, someone clicked the wrong thing on the computer, end quote, says Richard Raposa, spokesman for the agency. So, obviously this isn't something that really they were expecting to happen or would happen often, but it was revoked after 38 minutes. So for 38 minutes, a vast majority of the public believed that there was an incoming missile that was going to come and kill them. And that's very awful for them to have to think that and realize that, and a lot of people actually did believe that they were going to die, and that is absolutely terrible. And it's crazy. It is crazy. I agree how long it took for them to revoke the warning and put out a new one, but I believe that is due to the fact that something like that has never happened before, and they didn't expect that to happen. So they weren't really prepared for it and didn't know exactly how to fix it or what to do. So they did the best they could. But I did hear that they fixed, after fixing it, they implied a system and a way so that they could fix it a lot quicker if it ever happened again. Definitely learning from our mistakes there, but I can only imagine how terrifying that must have been for for all Hawaiians and tourists that are currently there. My prayers are for them, because that I'm deeply sorry for all the trouble they all went through because of that. That is a big mistake that hopefully will not happen again. Well, briefly, I do want to talk about this whole thing that exists that's new throughout the internet and many teenagers. It is called the Tide Pod Challenge. Long story short, just stop. Just actually stop. I saw this story that doctors and laundry detergent companies are just urging teenagers to stop putting Tide Pods or laundry detergent pods in their mouth. It's a good meme. I'm not gonna lie, it is a funny meme, but I'm entertained by. But seriously, do not eat them. What is wrong with you if you're throwing these things in your mouth? You're gonna have to go to the hospital, and it's not gonna be a fun trip. You are very stupid if you ever do that. Well, this brings this very short first episode to an end. This is probably going to come out pretty much later than I want it to, because of Apple and the pending that it's going to take to get it up on podcasts. But I will do my best, and hopefully they'll be able to come out more equally later on, and hopefully I will be able to become more frequent with them with the more time I have open. But as for right now, I will be back next week, with the more of the week's news and things I think are true. That's brought us to an end. My name is Jason Riley, and this is the Riley Report.